Hello, Internet. Welcome back to more Space Engineers. So, as we load in, this will probably take a decade. Oh well. I did some off camera work that I'll show you here. So, once it does load in, things are going to be maybe a little different than they last were, but should be good. Oh, haha. And there we are. I should actually click into the window. That would help. Okay. So, yeah, some changes. One of the big ones you may notice first off, that big old drill rig is gone. I finished the hole. So, if we hop on in here, look at all this. Nice lovely bit of real estate. This will be a perfect spot for us to put cargo and maybe our production facilities. Or maybe just cargo and have the production up here on like the factory floor, you know. But that is done and complete. I had the truck over here. As I whip the camera around, that's probably poorly shot. I have the truck over here because I'd been loading and unloading stuff. The other big difference, big change, I went and built at the iron mine and started over at the cobalt. Uh, I went ahead and took the kind of basic idea of the crane that was here and built myself a little drill rig. So, let me see. I forget exactly what I needed for it. You can see I've emptied out most everything from in here. Probably, I'll just go ahead and take those. Maybe some pipes. We also, from finishing out that there, and some kind of little mining and drilling things elsewhere, I ended up with a good bit of stone process, so we have a bit of resources. Uh, if I go in here, say we have about 8,000 kilograms of, or about 9,000 kilograms of iron, uh, some other stuff. So, and that's after producing a bunch of stuff. So we're doing alright. Uh, and hopefully, with this stuff, we'll be in a good position to start doing even better. So, let's hop aboard the truck. And one thing I noticed, I think I put it in the edit on YouTube. Uh, Last session, I built this big honkin' ore detector, and that was kind of the crowning achievement. I realized when I was editing the video, it's really not needed anymore. It's handy. So one thing I did discover at the iron mine that was real close there, there was also under the iron some gold, which we didn't see before, and we probably would have seen once we drilled the iron out. But you know, this helped us see that. But I had the realization I kind of found most everything I needed before I built this, just in our driving around exploration of last session. So it's nice, and it is a handy thing to have. I may either just disassemble it and rebuild it somewhere, or I probably will. But I may take it off of this vehicle because as handy as it is, it's not really as handy to have moving around on this anymore. So, we'll set off here. And the big reason for that, uh, one of those. So, I'll stop and continue explaining. So the large cargo container here is the same size as the small one I have on my base. So it can hold the same volume as a large grid small container. This vehicle, since I've built these things that we're going to go and see here, this vehicle is probably going to be the main cargo hauler. My main little truck that I use to take all the spoils from the mines out here back to the base. And if it's a truck, it should really be able to... Ooh, laggy. If it's a truck, it should really be able to haul more than one small container's worth, at least in my mind, to make it really useful. So, that may be the addition. Oh, hold on. Now, I said this wasn't useful. There's some cobalt right here. Cobalt. Where is that? You can see the gold down there. Ooh, that cobalt's actually real far away. Is it down in the valley? Mel. Yeah, I think it's like right below here. Which actually, well, my thought process will make more sense here in a minute. This area where I found the original cobalt, the land there is pretty steep, which means the mining rig, which you can see right there, I have that duplicated basically at the other spot. That mining rig is... it's not great because I have to hook the truck up to it. And on the steep ground, it's kind of a pain. Plus, it's two different spots, so I may consider moving the other one over here. We'll see. So, here is the mining rig. It's mostly built. And I'm going to land just because I don't know. I have a bit of hydrogen. So, if I'm right, that's why I built up these small steel tubes. I think that's what I needed. To finish these? Yes. Perfect. Okay. And there. And then all these. So, I can kind of explain the basics. Oh, and one thing I need to do. Don't mind me looking around my mic. Well, you can't see this, and my mouth is still pointed at the microphone. My head is now cocked to the side so I can see around it to see my menu bar. There are, I think, yep, there it is. So the last thing I need for this system to work is an interior plate, apparently. Do I have any of those? Yes, I have many of those. Probably takes those. Probably construction components. I don't know. So, oh, come on. So the last thing I need to make this functional... Oh, it takes fancy stuff. Well, are those things. So that detector, basically how this system works... Yeah, I built that long enough. So, this piston here, it extends out all the way to the edge, moving this drill bit out to a maximum radius. Then, this, rotors are what those are, this rotor here spins this whole rig around to drill out a circle on the ground. This sensor is set up at a height to detect when this arm, this little back piece, swings around. That indicates that we've gone through one cycle, which means this piston can retract a bit. And that's what these timers are here for, is to set it up so this piston only retracts, a certain distance in, and then the second circle goes. So this is essentially a semi-automated system. What I'll be able to do is turn this on, let it just kind of go, and it will clear out an entire area, one layer at a time, basically, just on its own. So it's a little bit less user needed. I guess, wouldn't that be? I don't have to sit there and manually control the pistons like I did with the old one, where I'd have to manually wait until it got to the bottom and then raise it back up and in and out and in and out. This does, just making sure that guy's going away. This does most of that on its own, which is great and handy. The one downside, I've not thought up a good way outside of having another timer block that's just I figure out how long it takes to complete the whole circle, and then just kind of, without a bunch of sitting and figuring out how long things take, I've not thought of a good way to automate the going down process. So at the moment, it's just once it completes the circle, it'll just kind of sit there spinning for a while until I come back to reset it. But that alone should be enough that I can kind of leave it out here doing its thing. It's all powered off the wind, so it should be fairly good. And then just come back every so often and refill. Because that's another difficulty. So this is, of course, over the iron deposit, which was somewhere down. There it is. Hello, iron. So this is set up right over the iron. So it should hopefully drill down to that. I have another one of these that isn't quite so built, set up over at the cobalt. The cobalt, we need to make metal grids, which are needed to make large grid storage containers, which, to make this thing function correctly, I'm going to need one. In fact, we'll go ahead, stick that there, and stick you there. So we need somewhere for all the mined material to wait for the truck. And one thing I don't fully know, I may actually need a large grid cargo, which is going to be a bunch of stuff. I might, with one circle pass, I might be able to get away with one. With the small grid container, plus the connector, plus the drill has some storage. In fact, how much? Yeah, the drill actually has, I guess not quite double, but well over the amount that the cargo container has. So this whole system should be able to store all the kind of mined material it'll end up with. At least long enough for me to come by and pick it up. So for one pass. Why are those all yellow? Strange. Maybe because the system technically doesn't end anywhere. Because these aren't built. That's probably it. So, the main reason I decided to build this one at the iron first is because the iron, we need to build most of the stuff I need to build the other one. A lot of this just takes a ton of steel plate. I mean, there's 150 just in a connector. There are 300. Yeah, 300 in a drill. Each piston has a bunch. So, iron is kind of a good starting point. And we have enough iron. I could possibly get started on building the other one, but... what do I need? Steel tubes and interior plates. Let's get... Oh, I'm out of steel tubes. Let's get all the plate done. And motors. They need motors. Well... Motors. So... Yeah, this seemed like a better starting point. Okay. So... Now I just need a bunch of steel tubes and construction components. And this bad boy is done. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. A lot of, I came in for a bit of time off camera just to kind of get all that set up and built. So we could jump in, but today is probably going to be, in part, a bunch of that. My hope is to have the iron one kind of done and going here soon. And then maybe get started on the cobalt one, because those are the things we need. So I may in the interim do some more truck work. Let's pull on over to the cargo side. I guess that's something. Maybe instead of truck work, I do some more layout work here at the main base. Because the truck, I mean, it's not very pretty, but it's functional. Oh, except I'm parked a mile away. It would be so much easier if you could go into third person in real life. Up. Okay. So, just make a bunch of them. That. How much does one... Yeah, these things take very little iron, which is nice. Just kind of the little finishings of everything. Oh, and I needed detector components and radio components. Ooh, and that's enough metal grids, actually. Ah, fancy that. Now, I can't remember... I feel like it took... I can check, can I? Where's... Oh, no, that's well over the cliff. How many... 6 detector components. Sure hope those don't require anything exotic. Oh, no. They do take some iron, though. Actually, no, they take very little iron, because that's, for 6 of them, they need 10. So, okay. That's pretty good. We'll dump that stuff off. So, guess I can start laying out a floor here. Kind of circle around the rim of the hole. And it'll give us a bit of a sense of how much room we will actually have in there. Because it may well... I may just leave it as... if there's not really a ton of room to, like, walk around, I may just have it as area for cargo. For large cargo containers, because you don't really need to access them directly. Why? Oh, there's a rock. Oh. Yeah. You just need enough. You just need the cargo piped in. Like I have these connected. Which will probably be one thing I want to do, because I realized, so one of the other things I did off camera was I went and picked up some more ice. So now have, this is practically full of ice, and I run over here, drop that stone off. You can see we have almost 4 times that amount in our just general storage. So we are quite set for ice for a while, at least for personal use. I went to the, where is it out there? It's one of those, the like ice deposit we found. Just dug a hole. Because I basically threw stuff and flying around to build those, Ooh, hello, you're close, wherever you are. Actually, no, you're not. You're just behind. Uh, so flying around building the mining rigs, I was like, I'm gonna need more fuel. And I only had enough for like half of a full bottle. So I figured I might as well head on and pick some up while I was out. So, interestingly, despite building, I guess it's kind of on a grid. Yeah, it is. It's just shifted a half block because I believe I equating the block sizes to the voxel sizes. I believe the drill, it drills out one block area of drill and then like a half block around it. So it's technically drilling out like a 4x4 area centered on the drill. Which, in this situation, leaves us with this odd, like, this area was slightly, like the ground was slightly over here, and it's slightly under the lip over here. Despite building off of the grid that I'm building on right now, or drilling off of. Okay. So that's 3 high. So it's a 4 high area. Let's do... I'll clamp it in a couple places just to, I'm not gonna like fill in all these areas because that's kind of a waste of resources. But I'll do a couple just so, it is safe. And I guess actually, because it's not like there's, you know, it's not like I need to preserve precious oxygen here. I may leave this as like open stone. That could be neat. Yeah, I think I will. Have like these structural parts and then you can see the wall around you. And it's cheaper on material. Oh, 1 plate short. I think they're all in here. Yep. 1. Don't know where that stone came from, but put it back in there. Perfect. And actually, what does... Ah, burpee. So, construction components and interior plates. Well, I guess I can make a lot of them, but they're more desperately needed elsewhere at the moment. So, okay, was that... Yeah, and I put the grids in. I've got plenty of those. Should have enough of those. Movers. Yeah, I think that's everything I need. Let's hop back in and head off. Oh, could use some headlights, I guess, but honestly, for now, it's a weird thing. Whoop, I shouldn't be looking up while driving. Uh, a thing with the skybox and Space Engineers. So, the ambient lighting is all based off the skybox, and the skybox, as you can see up there, is pretty kind of bright and light compared to what real space is. Even, because the cloud stuff is added by the planet atmosphere kind of bubble. But even the actual stars out there are, uh, it's a pretty bright area compared to a real space. So it creates a weird thing where the ambience, if I were in like a covered area right now, the ambience would kind of be different because I don't see as much of the skybox around me. And so it'd be really dark and hard to see. But when you're out in the open, it's actually very easy to see what's around you. So you really don't need lights unless you are in an enclosed space. Which, not great for the sake of realism. I parked a mile away. But it is kind of interesting little hack you can do if you don't want to deal with lights. Just don't close yourself in your cockpit and you're good. Well, it's gonna really suck if I have just two fused tubes. Oh, come on. Okay. And moment of truth. Haha. I'm good. How many? Oh, I had plenty of tubes. I was very close on construction components. In fact, I hope this doesn't. Okay, no, it doesn't need any more. And boom. So, I do believe that's all built and ready. The height on that connector's not great. Oh, and I'm stuck in the wheel. Problem solved. Let's see. Really, so long as I can kind of finagle my way in here and connect, I'm good. Let's drop the wheel height a bit. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead and... Oh, maybe. It's magnetized. Why can I not connect to you? Is it because of the angle? This is set to, yeah, switch lock. Oh, it's because that's the wrong one. I forgot there's a bottom connector. Let's rename you to connector back, which makes this one connector bottom. Okay. So now if I, yeah, we'll just place that there, recharge over there, locked. Okay. Sweet. So now, what I need to do is actually do the setup. So, I'll see if I can remember how I had this going before. Let's name these guys things. Piston in, out. And then piston up, down. Drill is drill. Don't talk to me, strange person. Oh, this Midas supply transport. Weird. Well, I'd love to help you, but I mean, I'm not too very useful right now. I think you're better protected on your own. Okay. So, let's name the... Well, they can just be timer block 1 and 2. So the sensor, I want to make it so it only detects out the front. And I want it to detect subgrids. So, then, is it detecting now? No. Let's extend it out a bit until it does. Will it? Okay, it won't beep at me. 10 meters? Okay, yeah. So, the little blue means it is actively detecting. In fact, can I get... Yes. Let's see if I can do this. Get it nice and precise. 5.5. Okay. So now, it's set up to just detect the edge of when this swings by. Which is good, so you can see over here, this is there's the blah 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 speaking words. So this is this height. When it swings around, there's nothing over here that'll detect it. That's why I made the range so narrow except for straight out, because I just want it to detect basically this corner. So, now that that's set, I think I want it... Set up actions. I want it to trigger timer 1, and I'm going to put it... So, something not really well explained about sensors. These two spots actually do two different things. They aren't just two actions it can perform. The first one, this happens when something enters the range, when it's first detected. The second one is for when something leaves the range and is no longer detected. So, depending on your situation, it may not be important, but it's definitely very useful if you want to be able to tell when something entered versus left. So for this case, I want it to be entered so I can start it just like it is now, with the rotor at 0. That way I can always come back to rotor at 0 and when I reset everything. Because for each down, I'll have to reset the system, probably. But it doesn't super matter other than that. It just makes it... I mean, the main thing is it means I don't have to start this rotating before I set all this up. Which, if I had it do at the leave, as soon as it started rotating, it would pull the piston in, which I don't want right now. So, long-winded explanation, but that's that. So now, sensor is set to trigger this timer block. What this timer block needs to do, firstly, it needs to start the timer on the other block. It will need to turn this block on and retract it. So the reason I do this, initially, the piston is on right now, and technically I've not even extended it. When I start the automated sequence, I'm going to have the piston fully extended. Sorry. I don't know if that happens where you breathe in and then your brain stops working. Happens to me a lot. So, anyway. How I have it set up, the piston, the main in-out piston, will be fully extended when I first start, and as I have it coming back, you can't stop I guess you can stop a piston mid-go in Space Engineers, but you'd have to set the velocity to 0, which with a timer block isn't very convenient. You'd have to have it basically click down a set amount of times, which isn't, it's just a mess. So, if you turn a piston off, it will freeze at the location it is at that moment. So, it does the same thing. The reason I have them both is so that I basically have a safety. If the piston is on and fully extended, it will bring it back and turn it on. If it isn't, I don't want it to reverse anything, and I also want to make sure that it turns on to continue coming back, so that's that. Anyway, actually that's all it needs in this block here, and what the second timer block needs to do, all it has to do is turn the block off. So that will timer block 1, and I was curious, this is the wrong piston. Piston in out needs to turn on, and it needs to retract. So, basically the sequence of logic here, every time the arm swings back into the position it's currently in, the timer block will fire from the sensor. It will begin retracting the in-out piston. So it'll start pulling the circle in closer after it's done a loop. It will also trigger this, which will then stop the piston at a set time after 5 seconds. So reason 5 seconds is important. If I go to my in-out piston, it retracts at 5 meters per second, or 0.5 meters per second. So, if I leave it on for 5 seconds, that brings it in, I believe, or wait. Hold on. Is my math wrong? Crud. I can't remember exactly how I set this up. So I originally designed this whole system in a creative world just to test and see how to do it. And I can't remember if I left it at 10 seconds or not. Well, we can do a quick test. So, if I reverse that piston, yeah, it's got clearance that way, so it's good. Okay. So basically what I want is I want the piston to come in 2.5 meters. Because that's roughly enough that it's kind of cutting new ground. So I have less cycles it has to go to mine everything. And it's a nice even because it divides into 10 meters 4 times. So, if I go ahead and trigger this, so our first timer's going, it's pulling in, and there it stops. So now, if I check, okay, that is roughly right. Piston, yeah, that's good. Timer block, that's where I'm confused. Okay. So, that should be good. Let's go ahead and send that back out. I think we're ready to start up this machine. So, that's in position. Let's go ahead, toggle drill on. It'll start drilling. Then, actually, let's disconnect that. Just so it's not filling up the truck immediately, because I do want to make sure it'll hold everything in the system. Okay. So now, we're ready. Rotor lock is off. Set our velocity to, let's do 0.1. Yeah, that looks good. So, let's get some height. You can see it's going to drill in a little circle. And once the sensor detects this arm again, so when it comes fully back to here where it started, this piston will pull itself in a bit, and it'll keep going. What'll happen in the end is the piston, or the drill, will end up right in the middle, where it started, just spinning around forever and drilling until I come to turn it off. And yeah. So that's that. Let's see, and it's probably not getting much stone right now because, you know, it's a mile off the ground. But it's getting some. And as we go, so this one piston length down probably is not going to be enough to get to the iron down there. I forget. Yeah, 25 meters. A piston only goes down 10. But the other genius of this design, what I can do, I just take off that drill, pop another piston on once that one's at full extension, pop the drill back on, and keep going. So, I can leave this here until I've drilled out everything I want to drill out, and then it's not, I mean, it's decently expensive, but it's not so expensive and not so many parts. I can just tear it down and build a new one somewhere else, essentially move it. So, that's good to go. I kind of want to wait here just to make sure it does cycle in. Well, no, because I'll be able to, if we come back later, I'll be able to tell if it worked. So, let's raise our height up a bit again. And head off. So, that's pretty good. I wonder, that signal... Yeah, that's on ground. Let's go for it. Might as well, I've got time to kill now. See if we can scout out a little bit of area over there and see what's there. And then maybe just kind of make sure there is road that goes there. Clear ground. Or clearish. Okay, that's good. So, and if this is one of those, I guess those only have one. So, part of why I had enough steel or metal grids to build that cargo container that I built, they actually came from drop pods. So, one of the other things I was doing while just messing around on here off camera was going around. I flew down to get some drop pods and just kind of going grabbing them when I could, when it was convenient. Because they're free parts, and some of them have thrusters. So, some of those metal grids came out of atmospheric thrusters from drop pods. Quite handy. Oh yeah, there's like no ore over here. This is where we first dropped, if you recall, where the pod first landed. And there is... that's a little bit of ore over here. Let's grab it. Ooh. When I was driving, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty nice and flat. Oh yeah. So this is not one with a thruster, but... Yay, more leopard boots. Grind it down. It's some free stuff. Radio component. That's enough radio components for another sensor, so... And just, you know, if nothing else, it feels good. Eventually we'll have a ship doing this on like full-blown capital ships that we shot down. That's gonna be great, but in the meantime, gotta take the small victories when you can. So, what's over here, just to see? Nickel and iron, looks like. Oh, and bumps. Is it just nickel and iron? One more bumps. Well, this is a cliff, technically. Perfect. Yeah, nothing too exciting. Oh, come on, make it up the hill. That was, I had to, now that we have full battery, or nearly full, I had to readjust the wheels, so I'm now rear-wheel drive with the 2 rear axles. And no drive on the front ones to save a bit of power. But when I was fully loaded with ice, I couldn't make it up any hills. So I had to do some mid-drive adjustment. Ooh. Dang, that thing. All these things, I guess that's not, I mean, it is big, but it's also low. All these ships are just hefty. And you can see off over there at the cobalt mine, the wireframe structure of the other drill arm. Is this deadly cliff? Yes. Let's go over here to the less deadly cliff. Oh, when I say that, it is less deadly. Okay. Oh, now is this stuff... Oh, that's not good. That's not good ground at all. Oh, am I gonna... No, too steep. Okay. Let's go over here a bit. Under the giant bird. And I guess it is a harpy, so... kind of bird adjacent. Okay. So, one handy thing, too. So I mined a little more magnesium, which takes quite a while to process, but I should have enough that I could start working on some turrets. Which I think may be a good use of time. So if we look... 13.5... I hope I have more than that. Oh. Okay, maybe I don't have a ton of magnesium. So... 13.5, 31... Dang, is that it? Did I use it for something? Is there any... Let's consolidate our gravel. No? Unless it's used in something I didn't realize it's used in. Uh, all that hand mining I did really amounted to nothing. Dang. Well, how much do you need? Because maybe you just don't get a lot. Oh, in fact, can I not, Oh. I don't think the basic assembler can even build bullets. Huh. Oh no, it can build those. Okay. So I can't build heavy bullets yet, but it takes 0.05 magnesium powder for a light bullet. So, okay. That's not too bad. Okay. So one thing I do want to do, as the sun comes up here, let's unload everything out of here first. Gonna dump it all back in. So what I want to do, I want to move these kind of back in a block. My production stuff. Because technically where they are right now is the wall. So I would like to be able to build the actual wall there. And it'll make it a little easier to connect to this stuff for cargo access. Because I won't have to, I mean, not easier, I guess, but it'll make it look better because I won't have to drill this block and put a conveyor there and all that jazz. So, in fact, yawn a little bit. Now that we've got, how many? This should be enough to at least place them. Let's put our stairs in. Oh, dang. I'm not gonna... Okay. What are those? That takes construction component. Where is the... There, LEDs. Oh, an interior plate. And light. Also construction component. So what I'm gonna do, if you're familiar with the game, you see the problem. I can't place my stairs where I need to because technically there's no block there that they could connect to. They can't connect to the bottom of that. A handy little trick is if you take one of these corner lights, you don't even have to weld it, but you can place it there. It's very subtle and out of the way. And now, there we go. So, nice and convenient, and, you know, you probably don't want to weld up all of them, but I could weld up that one, and now I've got my light under the stairs there. In fact, put one there just to look good. But yeah. So nice and simple. Now I have a convenient way down. And I should have checked before I did that exactly how much room I'd have, but yeah. So I'll be able to fit... I can fit 2 3x3 cargo containers down here, which should be more than enough. In fact, what I may do is have a cargo container and a hydrogen tank, depending on if I... Actually, no, probably not, because I probably won't be building a hydrogen ship. At least here and now. That'll be later game. But, ooh, but that one's also falling on the mountainside. Hmm. Well, what we can do is real quick go ahead and lay out these. I need interior plates for that. How many? These probably take, yeah, 20 construction components and 12 small steel tubes a pop. Okay. Well, actually, we could start that. How many? So that would be 30, 60, roughly 80 interior plate, which I should have. Yeah. Should have enough steel tubes. Let's go ahead and produce 100 more of those. And we should be good. We can actually weld up our stairs. Though as I do that, I don't 100% know why I care so much to weld them up. It's not like, you know, they aren't detracting from the completed nature of the base by not being welded. But go ahead. Mine out this area. As basically a kind of tunnel to get to the conveyor over here. In fact, let's do that, and then we can drill from above. Or fall through. I am debating. Now, I don't need this stone because I've got the, got a full inventory. I've got the driller drilling over there, so I should be good on that. So, we'll go ahead and use right-click drilling to clear out. So, this is a handy tip if you're not aware. If you hold down the right-click button while drilling, left-click drills normal and creates little rocks that went down there in order specifically to spite my argument. So that's the normal way of drilling where you get stuff. If you drill with right click, you don't get anything, but it drills a larger area. So, it's much quicker if you're trying to just, make a tunnel to use the right click as opposed to left click and gathering all the stone and all that. So, handy little tips of the trade. Let's see how that goes. Well, yeah. And what I'll do, place a conveyor there. Never mind. So that's a danger of drilling right next to the block, is sometimes if you drill the block, they explode. But I'll do that there. Another one right there. The only reason I put this here, it may be handy if I want to connect something over here. Some sort of production equipment. But I also like the idea of it not looking like there's just a hole through the dirt. You know, there's a bit of a dirt hole, but I like the idea of having it sealed a little bit. So, and then this will come over. Actually, we'll do a similar thing over here. And drill this out. Okay. So now, place our blocks back, like, actually, leave that one open. Place that there. And then have that, which will connect to this cargo container. Which, now that we're good for that, well, actually, I probably want to build this area down here first. So we'll leave it kind of open for now. This is mainly for, you know, so I know what I'm doing. I don't know if I have the resources yet to just dump into it. But let's go now. Dump off everything we have in our inventory. Fill up some more hydrogen. Don't fall in the hole. I think I'm gonna go grab that other unknown signal way over there, and then loop back, and we'll check on the mine. Because I don't know quite how long it takes to do a full circle, but I assume it doesn't take that long, given it's not a huge circle. Oh, excuse me, very bad ground. Oh no. Gotta be somewhat careful. Oh yeah, you can see I kind of dinged up the front earlier, going over some rough terrain where my wheels were not, the one wheel fell in the rut, which meant the pointy part in between the ruts hit squarely on the frame. Oh, that's flying like right over us. That'll be iffy. Oh, what's that? Boulder. What kind of boulder are you? Ooh, cobalt. Okay. So, slight change of plans. Actually, pull up here. I'm gonna do some drilling here on this boulder. I could park closer. Should I? Unknown signal. Nah, cobalt's more important. Look how far away it is. I'll probably never get there. So, we have a source of cobalt, but it is deep underground, and I built a mine, like, drill rig on top of it already. Which means I'm kind of reluctant to go in and, you know, drill a little manhole to try and get any of it beforehand. This should give us enough cobalt to work with, to where we can build all the grids we'll need to build, at least for our kind of initial stuff. Oh, yeah. Oh god, that's a big boy. Any rocks go? Nah, no rocks win a tumbling. So this will get us to a good point where we're ready to kind of keep going, and then that cobalt that's in the ground we just use as uh future supply, because we're gonna need a lot of this stuff eventually. There are, let's see, so can't tell if that's, I assume that's a large hydrogen thruster. Oh no, that's a large one. Yes, large grid, large one. 250 metal grids. Just for one of those. Uh, Granted, we may only need one, at least initially. But if we're going to build a planet-leaving ship, we're going to need them. So, yep. Hmm. Now the downside with all this ore mining now, part of my plan was to swing by and pick up stuff from the iron drill. I'm not going to have enough room in the truck. That's, in fact, yep, that's all that can hold. I've got this bottom connector I can fill up, but get this last little bit. And I can have my personal inventory. I mean, I might as well just fill up everything I got. May abandon some of the stone. Yep, so that's that. I'm full. Mostly a cobalt. Well, I mean, there's still some here. We'll go ahead and create GPS for the cobalt boulder. Are there any of these I don't need? Turn off that and that boulder. Because I get plenty of silicon and nickel from ice. Or from stone, rather. ice. Silver will be useful, but I think that's good. Okay, well, way too much to be able to jump on. So, actually, while I'm thinking of it, puff the front back up a bit. But, so maybe not the most successful drop pod retrieval, but say a successful little trip out. Let's see. We are now full as full can be. Let's see how well we can get home. Some definite tire spin. Okay. Just take it nice and easy. So I don't particularly want to go over anything at super high speeds. Though, I'll have to be somewhat careful with it. I need to have enough speed, I guess, to be able to get up. Oh, we're going fast. I was on the reverse, like full on, we were just going. These wheels do not have the power to hold us back anymore. Okay. Oh, this is actually a narrow gap in steepness. Okay. And now, that looks flat enough. Now we charge and hope we make it up. Oh, come on. Hang her about. Is that the... No, the valley with the iron is further. But what's this? Oh, more magnesium. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So, decently successful. The downside is I now have to manually unload it all. Oh, bumped a little bit. But, yeah, we'll do it from here. Bright side is we now have plenty of cobalt, so... which we can go ahead and get processing. Hopefully we have enough room. Ooh, actually, since this and this have the same cargo space, we may not have enough room. Even with it processing everything. I don't know how quickly it goes through the cobalt. It does seem to be... well, now it's not. Oh yeah. Cobalt goes slow. Let's process all the stone we got. That should give us some inventory room. The pain... I have everything set up to where I could just dump this. Or park it up and let it slowly be siphoned. Yeah, that's full now. Yeah, take that. I could just plug this in and let it slowly process everything. But I have no such luck because I didn't build the stuff yet. Pop that there. Nope, I go from there to there. And give it a second to go down so I can empty. And wait a minute. Riveting stuff, this. But It's okay because it will lead to automation. And honestly, since I have cobalt now, I may go ahead and focus on building up the base with all the materials. Build that pipe so we can just start transferring stuff. Drop that in there. And no. Yeah, there's no room for that. No room at the end. Let's take... what do pipes need? Okay. Interior plate and construction components. Let's go ahead and just produce a bunch of those. Mini. Produce some motors. Got a bunch of tubes. Let's go ahead and see what we can get going. So if we can get parts in for most of it. Well, that's where we stop having parts. No construction component. Oh yeah, because I didn't have any. So that's the end of small steel tubes. No, I did not. So let's set those to production. Oh, you've got plenty of clearance. Here's an idea. How much stove? That's a hole. How much storage? 8K. How much am I using right now? 5K. I can go ahead. Let's park up real quick. I'm going to dump this into the connector and just leave it there, because eventually when I have, okay, we'll have to mind the gap, but, well, in fact, can we even, there we go, we're up, at least. Oh, she's feisty. Okay. So I'll dump this in this connector down here. It'll eventually get pulled out when I have everything connected. And I can go and check on the other thing while this is going. So connector, that, 16K. Okay. And raise our suspension up. Forgot that negative was what we want. Okay. So let's check on the drill rig. Oh, it's so much zippier. Oh, it's too zippy. A bit too zippy. Check on to see. It's probably completed a circle. So we can extend it down a bit. Yep. So, bring ourselves in here. How full are we? Very full. That seems wrong. Why are these not... That's functional. That's functional. That one's functional. Cargo containers built. That's built. That's strange. This should be... Unless it really needs all of it to actually work. Which, if that's true, I guess sounds really obvious in hindsight, but I didn't think if it's functional, it should be working. Turn off the drill. Lock the rotor for now. Or we'll let it go. Get closer to 0 and then lock. Huh. That's strange. This is a... Oh. So, rookie mistake. This is not an advanced rotor. This is a normal rotor. Oh, God, which means... Oh, okay. So, to fix this, I have to disassemble this entire rig, including emptying all this stone out by hand. Oh, no. Well, I guess it's good that it was just gathering some dirt. I mean, you can see what it does. It's working pretty well. So that's neat. Is that? That's probably over the cliff. Dang it. Well, that explains why all that's yellow. I could have sworn... So when I built this originally, I guess it was like 3 days ago now. And I built it as a kind of just wire, scaffolded thing. And I came and slowly added parts. I guess I just never realized. Let's speed up this drill. Yeah, I never realized this was a just generic rotor instead of the one I want. Okay, get this to 360. Okay, 60. In fact, lower limit 0. There we go. Easier way to do it. Okay. So, it's thinking time. So I need to turn that rotor into an advanced rotor. What do they take different? So 2544. Okay, so they're the same thing, it's just one has a hole. I don't have any bits. Not enough bits. What I could do is off the truck here, build a little arm with a landing gear, slide up beside this thing, clamp onto it with the landing gear to hold it in place while I disattach that, yeah. Okay, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So, if I build a little landing gear arm off the truck, maybe fill it with the stone first so it has all the weight. then I should be able to slide in under here, clamp onto this somewhere. I can grind away this rotor, replace it with the advanced rotor, replace this with an advanced rotor head, and then just attach the rotor via this, and it should work. Okay. Whew, that's going to be tricky. So what do I need for landing gear? Steel plate construction component motor. Let's fly home real quick. Avoid the tree. That will kill me. Okay. So, steel plate construction component. Then we fly back. Again, avoiding all the death. So, hit that. Landing gear. So what I'm thinking, we'll just build a big arm up like that. Maybe up there. Oh, and maybe. How do I wanna... Nah, I think it'll be easiest to go off the side. Okay. So, melt this up. Okay. So now let's move into position. We'll put this on the hotbar. And turn off the auto lock. Okay. Now, this is going to get kind of awkward. To put myself in the best weight position, I think I have to go on this side, which means over this bump. Okay. Then we kind of scurry her in, nice and cozy. I think my wheel fits under that. Oh, there we are. Okay. So hopefully the weight of the arm above us will help counteract the weight of the drill. Just to be safe, now that we're kind of in position, in fact, let's go up here and do it. Gonna real quick dump all this stone in, which is gonna take forever. In fact, just so it's easy, dump everything there. Okay. Yeah, 3K. We'll be done in no time. Oh, except this container can't hold it all. I'll dump into everything. I want the truck to be as heavy as possible, because the drill is very heavy by default, even without stuff in it. We're filling up. So 33. Okay, there's officially more stone in the truck than there is in the drill. But if this is going to work out, I think I'll need all the ballast I can get. No, we're full up. There. Okay. Into the... Oh, that's practically filled one connector in just one go. Okay, and... other connector. Go ahead and dump that in. Is there more room up here? A bit. Okay. So, one final load. That's about as much as I can do. I guess I could put it in that. Let's do that. Never mind, it's not as much as I can do. In fact, let's dump everything in there for now. The reason I'm being so particular about getting all the weight out of that, I think I may have said it earlier. This drill is very heavy by default. And if I'm going to attempt to balance it with my frame of a truck, I'm going to need it to be as light as I can get it. I guess this is a benefit for leaving the, oh, dang it, and I'm out of... Oh, because I don't have my tank on me. That's fine, I don't need it for that. Take all my stuff back. So, a benefit of leaving the ore detector on is now that's ballast. Okay. So, let's go ahead. Oh, I hope this doesn't... Real quick. Being cautious. Did I... I didn't even change this as episode 3. There we go. Ignore that. Save again just because I like saving. Okay, so all that saving is just in case this decides to clang out and explode. Because connecting subgrids to small vehicles sometimes is unfun. So we are locking 3, 2, 1. Anticlimactic, but that's okay. Okay. So the truck is now well, the truck might now be supporting this. Time for the moment of truth. Let's grind away this. That way we'll know. Oh. Oh, she held. Oh my god. That was... It started leaning right as I did it. I was like, oh, here we go. Okay, sweet. So now... will I have enough room? Yeah, I will. Now, we replace you with an advanced rotor. Ah, dang it. That's what I was afraid of. So, because this is technically in the way, it won't let me place. Which means... Oh no. I think we need to move ourselves. Okay, if I back up, at least it's relatively flat because of the drill arc, so... Oh my god, this is terrifying. I don't want to do any sudden movement. Okay. Like any slight twitch and we just roll the whole thing over. So... Now you go there. Take that off, and... Yes, advanced rotor part. And this is an advanced rotor. Yes. Okay. Now we're good. That's functional. Okay. Yes. So that's green, which means it's good, and that's red, which means it's good there. Kind of counterintuitive, I guess, but trust me, it's fine. Okay, and now for the equally scary getting it back in alignment. Okay. Oh no. So I think that's good. It's a little cockeyed, but that's the best I think I could do. So what we're gonna do, save again, get a good angle to watch it happen. Uh, so when this connects, when I hit attach here, it's gonna whip a bit with the truck connected to it. Hopefully, it doesn't whip so much that it blows everything up, but it might. So again, 3, 2, 1, attach. Hey! Well, that went perfect. It blew up the landing gear, but, that's something I could live without. Huh. Okay. Sweet. So now, a little bit of trial and error. Next pass, we should be good. Come on out of here, truck. Next pass, we should be good. It'll dump everything into the cargo container. And then we can pick it up later. That's not aligned at all. Okay. Let's put on in there. I have to lower myself. Yep. Okay, locked. Go ahead and transfer everything else. Which is just that, which actually, oh. Okay, well that's our cue that maybe it's time for the ore detector to come off, because we don't actually have enough cargo room for this. So, yeah. Okay. Well, do I want to set it going? No. I'll go back home. How's maybe up here is the best way. We'll go back home, refit the truck real quick. I don't want to just start drilling again, because part of it I do want to make sure that doing a full drill pass, make it little truck. I want to make sure a full drill pass will fit in the cargo we have. I need to know if I'm going to need to add more cargo or not. So, oh, this is way too fast. Oh, okay. It all worked out in the end. I went to first person and everything was just whipping by. Which I guess you saw because I did it, but... Okay. Oh, and we may have enough. Let's put her in park. We should have everything else built for that. In fact, yeah, I have some stuff on me. Let's get, so... These just need construction components, which I have 95. Go ahead and weld all this up. Okay. So, interior plates, construction components, small... Whoop, that's a hole again. Interior plate, construction components, small steel tubes, and motors. Oh, that's full. So... small steel tubes, construction components... There's a lot of stuff here. Okay. Nope, don't fall. Just weld this up. Motors. Well, we'll get everything else put in. Okay. So, motors, small steel tubes, and construction components. Well, let's do the construction components first, then. And as sometimes with space engineers, it's best to just kind of pick a piece that you know everything needs and just build it all up with that. Because it's kind of, you could measure out exactly what you need, but that takes a lot of time and it's kind of boring. It's probably smarter in terms of, efficiently using your time, but it feels nicer to just kind of do 3 passes with 3 different things and have it built than have to sit there and count for a while. At least to me. Okay. So. Oh. Put 100 of those back. Well, dang it. Last one I need. 1 tube right there. And boom. Okay. So now, nope, wrong button. Let's take out some of those so we can rebuild the floor over here. That's definitely over the cliff. Okay. And now we can wheel on up, get in position, positioned enough, and watch as all the stone from the rover sits there. Oh, because it's still refining all the cobalt. Well, that's fine. That's just kind of nature of it. We're actually... I've not been watching the time. We're actually pretty much to the end of the go. So, I was about to say last thing I'll do is I'll move all these in a block. If I do that, then, this currently has a ton of stuff processing in it. So that's a bad use of my time, I think. But, yeah, we can just kind of look at our handiwork. So, we've got... I mean, this is a pretty good base. Fleshed out and set up. I want to do a little bit to the actual building. In fact, that's what we can do for the last few minutes here. You're way over there. What kind of... lay out our wall positions. How much room do we have in between here? 10. So it's an even space in between. But that's fine. What I'm thinking of doing is kind of like a vaulted ceiling. So I'll try and kind of, not with you. I'll lay out my kind of idea here in cross section. Oh, or I'll run out of hydrogen. Yes, I noticed. Luckily in time. Hiccup. So what I'm thinking, we'll kind of have that there. Oh, where are blocks? And then 2 slope. And I believe that's 4 in the middle. Yeah, so then come on. So, nah, I've got a better idea. Okay. So, we'll make use of some of the new blocks that, depending on when this is watched, may no longer be new. This actually isn't new. But, so I'll kind of have it dome up like so. Oh, in fact, let's see what this looks like. Oh, I think it'll be just enough room. Yes. So, okay, I like this. We will have the twin arches. It does kind of look like McDonald's, but that's fun. So, I think that'll look cool. It'll be almost like a train station where they've got the arched roof going over. I'll have 2 of those. Kind of look like a factory, which is what it's basically gonna be. Can have those come down like that. Maybe 2 high blocks there. And then we'll sink the middle row in a half a block. Because then we can use... where are you? We can use these fun DLC windows, which will give it a sort of factory feel. Yeah. So let's do, not you. Just so I kind of, I mean, I think it'll be pretty clear in my brain, but just in case. Yeah, we'll have windows in those gap areas. I think that's pretty good. So I'll probably come in over the week or weekend at some point, mainly to just kind of let ore process, uh, and do some more resource gathering. I may polish up, do some more work here, and see what I can get it to. We'll see. So, until then, until next week, that is my time. So, let's switch to logo. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching in the future on YouTube. I will be back next Wednesday with more Space Engineers. So, till then, goodbye.